Deep within the heart of the dense, foreboding forest, a place that was once the epitome of tranquility and natural beauty, now harbored a malevolent secret. Vacationers who sought solace in the embrace of nature were about to have their peaceful retreat shattered by an unseen terror. Whispers of an ancient curse lingered in the air, and the once welcoming woods now concealed a chilling secret that would haunt the dreams of those who dared to enter. It all began innocently enough, as a group of friends decided to escape the hustle and bustle of city life for a weekend getaway. They had heard of a hidden paradise, a remote cabin surrounded by towering trees and the sweet melody of a babbling brook. Little did they know, the forest held a sinister secret that would soon consume their every waking moment. As the group settled into the rustic cabin, a feeling of unease hung in the air. The once comforting sounds of nature seemed distorted, and the shadows that danced among the trees took on a malevolent life of their own. That first night, a chilling wind whispered through the leaves, carrying with it an eerie forewarning. The following morning, the group set out to explore the enchanting forest. Unbeknownst to them, the ancient trees bore witness to their every move, their twisted branches seeming to whisper dark secrets. As they delved deeper into the woods, an unsettling stillness descended, and the air grew thick with an unnatural tension. It wasn't long before the first member of the group noticed the presence of the naked figures. Initially dismissed as figments of overactive imagination, the figures became increasingly tangible, lingering at the edge of their vision like elusive phantoms. Faceless and devoid of any distinguishing features, the figures moved with an otherworldly grace, appearing and disappearing amongst the trees. As the day wore on, the figures drew nearer, their haunting silhouettes blending seamlessly with the shadows. Panic set in among the vacationers, and the once joyous laughter turned into hushed whispers of dread. The faceless entities seemed to feed off the fear that permeated the air, their movements synchronized with the quickening heartbeat of the terrified group. Nightfall brought with it a descent into pure terror. The cabin, once a refuge, now felt like a fragile barrier between the vacationers and the malevolent forces that lurked outside. Shadows danced menacingly against the cabin walls, and the echoes of distant footsteps sent shivers down their spines. Desperation drove the group to contemplate escape, but the forest seemed to shift and morph, disorienting them at every turn. The faceless figures closed in, their ghostly forms pressing against the cabin windows, their featureless visages staring blankly into the terrified eyes of the vacationers. As the night wore on, the line between reality and nightmare blurred. Whispers of forgotten curses and ancient rituals filled the air, and the once inviting forest transformed into a realm of unspeakable horror. The faceless figures, now indistinguishable from the shadows, claimed their victims one by one, pulling them into the inky blackness of the night. By morning, the forest returned to an eerie calm, as if the malevolent forces had never been. The once vibrant group of vacationers was reduced to mere whispers in the wind, their faces eternally etched with the terror of the night before. The cabin stood silent, bearing witness to a horror that would be forever etched into the annals of the cursed forest. The faceless figures, having claimed their victims, retreated into the depths of the ancient woods, their inscrutable purpose fulfilled. The once idyllic forest, now tainted by the malevolent presence, stood as a silent testament to the inescapable darkness that lurked beneath the surface of nature's beauty. Those who dared to venture into the haunted depths of the forest would forever be haunted by the memory of the faceless figures that stalked them in the night, a reminder that some secrets are best left undisturbed. The legend of the faceless figures spread like wildfire, a cautionary tale whispered among locals who knew better than to tempt the wrath of the ancient forest. Yet, as the years passed, the lure of the untouched wilderness continued to draw curious souls seeking the thrill of the unknown. A daring group of paranormal investigators arrived, armed with an array of high-tech gadgets and an unwavering belief in their ability to unravel the mysteries that shrouded the cursed woods. Ignoring the warnings of the locals, they set up their equipment near the abandoned cabin, eager to capture evidence of the supernatural. As night descended, the air thickened with tension, and the ominous whispers of the wind seemed to mock the investigators' futile attempts to penetrate the darkness. The faceless figures, having slumbered in the shadows, awoke once more to the intrusion. Unseen eyes watched the investigators from the depths of the forest, their presence felt rather than seen. The investigators' devices flickered and malfunctioned, the paranormal readings spiking to unprecedented levels. Unnerving shadows flitted around them, and the temperature plummeted, sending shivers down their spines. The faceless figures materialized, a ghastly dance of naked bodies without identity, closing in on the unsuspecting intruders. Desperation clawed at the investigators as they fumbled to retreat, their once confident demeanor replaced by sheer terror. The forest seemed to warp and twist, confounding their attempts to find an escape route. The ancient trees whispered malevolent secrets, their twisted branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, urging the intruders deeper into the heart of the cursed woods. With each step, the faceless figures drew closer, their ethereal forms casting an otherworldly pallor on the surroundings. Panic set in as the investigators realized the inescapable truth. They had become entangled in a nightmare far beyond the realm of their understanding. One by one, the investigators succumbed to the insidious grasp of the faceless figures. Their horrified screams echoed through the forest, a macabre chorus that resonated with the ancient malevolence that dwelled within. The once vibrant equipment lay abandoned, its lights flickering in the darkness, a testament to the futility of mortal attempts to unravel the secrets that the cursed forest guarded so jealously. As dawn broke, the forest returned to its deceptive calm, absorbing the remnants of the ill-fated intrusion. The abandoned equipment stood as a grim monument to the insatiable hunger of the faceless figures, a warning to any who dared to disturb the ancient slumber that enveloped the haunted woods. The legend of the faceless figures persisted, growing darker with each passing year. Locals spoke in hushed tones about the cursed forest, cautioning outsiders to steer clear of the malevolent spirits that roamed its depths. The abandoned cabin, now a crumbling relic of bygone days, stood as a stark reminder that some horrors were not meant to be confronted, and the faceless figures continued their eternal vigil, waiting patiently for the next trespasser to cross the threshold into their haunted realm. Years passed, and the cursed forest retained its sinister reputation, shrouded in an air of unsolved mystery and whispered dread. The legend of the faceless figures became a cautionary tale passed down through generations, dissuading all but the bravest or most foolhardy from venturing into the heart of the haunted woods. The abandoned cabin, now reclaimed by nature, stood as a spectral landmark, a visible scar on the landscape that told the story of the ill-fated investigators. Local folk, superstitious and respectful of the ancient forces that lurked within, avoided the area like a plague, fearing the unseen eyes that watched from the shadows. However, as the memories of the faceless figures faded into the realm of legend, a new group of thrill-seekers emerged. Drawn by the allure of the macabre and fueled by a skepticism born of modernity, they scoffed at the warnings of the locals, dismissing the ancient curse as mere superstition. This new group, armed with the latest technology and emboldened by their belief in reason over myth, set out to debunk the legend of the faceless figures. They documented their journey, recording every step into the heart of the cursed forest. The ominous stillness that greeted them did nothing to dissuade their confidence. As night fell, the forest awakened once more. Shadows elongated, and the air grew thick with a palpable malevolence. The faceless figures, roused from their slumber by the intrusion, began their ethereal dance. Unseen footsteps echoed through the trees, drawing closer to the unsuspecting interlopers. Yet, this new group pressed on, their skepticism blinding them to the ancient forces converging around them. The devices they brandished to detect the supernatural faltered, and the temperature plummeted, but they remained steadfast in their quest to demystify the unexplained. As the faceless figures closed in, the thrill-seekers finally glimpsed the haunting specters that had terrorized the forest for centuries. Panic set in, and the group fragmented, their once unified front shattered by fear. The ancient trees seemed to twist and contort, rearranging the very fabric of the forest to ensnare the intruders. In the final moments of the ill-fated expedition, the forest swallowed the thrill-seekers whole. Their terrified screams echoed through the trees, mingling with the whispers of the ancient curse that permeated the haunted woods. The abandoned cabin, silent witness to another tragic chapter, stood as a forlorn testament to the insatiable hunger of the faceless figures. As dawn broke, the forest returned to an eerie calm, concealing the remnants of the ill-fated expedition within its ancient embrace. The legend of the faceless figures persisted, reinforced by the fresh tragedy that befell those who dared to challenge the supernatural forces that guarded the cursed woods. And so, the haunted forest retained its enigmatic allure, its secrets buried deep within the shadows. The faceless figures, having claimed yet another group of intruders, resumed their eternal vigil, waiting patiently for the next wave of unsuspecting souls to venture into the heart of the malevolent realm they called home. The legend lived on, a spectral warning that some mysteries were better left unsolved, and the cursed forest continued to stand as a formidable guardian of the ancient secrets that lurked within its depths.
Like, subscribe, and click on notifications that will allow you to stay up to date with the news and not miss videos from the channel, where there will be many more horror stories.